It's nice to be back. Appreciate all your thoughts and your cards and your prayers and everything that you did for me and for my family during my little stint in the hospital. Among other things, I didn't realize how nice it is to be able to wear shoes every day. Because in the hospital, not so much. I was scheduled to preach on this Sunday months ago, and it's sort of ironic. God sometimes winks and says, "Go ahead, preacher, what you got for this one?" Because keep awake really hit home over the last 2 weeks. I woke up on a Wednesday morning with what I thought was just a little indigestion. By 11 o'clock that night, I was in the ER, and by 1, I was unconscious and woke up in a hospital bed Thursday morning, which was interesting because when I woke up, I thought, if this is heaven, it's really disappointing. But heaven has more channels than I do at home. So it was kind of a wash. I learned a few things through this little issue. And for those of you who don't know, I ended up getting a blood clot in my spleen, which is really unusual. Spent a couple of days in the hospital and spent even more days trying to think about what does this all mean. For Lutheran pastors, that's kind of what we do at just about anything that happens. We think, what does this mean? I'm third in line at the checkout. What does this mean? I want to share 2 things with you that I think that this is what it means, among other things. Because what I realize is that hospitals are a lot like church. Someone once said that church isn't a banquet for saints, but a hospital for sinners. And I think there's some truth to that. And so I think hospitals are a lot like what we would strive to be at church. But I'm only going to share 2 of those things with you today. Here's the first. Not a one, I think, not a one of the people who tended to me during that time were able or even interested in solving my problem all by themselves. Not the doctors, not the nurses, not the food service, not the CNA, not any of the people who came in and out of the room at all times of day and night. Not one of them thought, I can do this by myself. Which is probably good. Because the people who cooked the food, and it wasn't bad, by the way, because the people who cooked the food were good at it. They would probably have been less good at the ultrasound. The people who did the ultrasound were good at it. Less good probably at putting needles in, well, everywhere. And on and on. You see, they were a team, not just a group of individuals who had particular skills, but they were a team. And thanks to modern technology, they were able to just, look at a computer and see what they were all doing together. I'm thankful for that, because that team did right by me. But the same goes for our church. You see, medical staff didn't invent that idea. For it was actually Martin Luther in the Reformation who first started talking about vocation as being something more than just a job. It being something that you see even as a ministry. And I'm absolutely convinced that whether or not those folks who tended to me saw their job as a ministry, I did. They went beyond caring for me. They ministered to me. And that's what we do. You see, as we understand that thing we call vocation, it means that each and every one of us has specific gifts that we can share with each other and with the world to build it up, to heal it, if you will, to make it a place that we want to live, not just have to live. to take the edge off, like in a hospital. There's very few people, maybe other than people delivering babies, who want to be at the hospital. But it was through that ministry that took some of the edge off, some of the fear, and I was afraid. And we do that too. That's one of our primary calls as people, as followers of Jesus Christ. And every Sunday we see those gifts at work. We see Jeannie playing her guitar. We see our young people singing and dancing, gifts that they have. We don't ask them to be preachers, and thank God you don't ask me to dance. I don't look that good in purple. But I think you know what I mean, right? We all, each and every one of us, has gifts. We're going to talk about some of those gifts a little bit later when we baptize two lovely babies. Here's the other thing. As a pastor, I've spent all of my career on the other side of the hospital bed. I've spent my career praying, holding a hand, reading the Word to people who were in all sorts of different situations in hospitals. I've celebrated with people who had just given birth. I've mourned and prayed with people for whom that birth did not go well. I've celebrated with people who found out, I'm in remission, or this is going to work this time. I've been healed, or I survived the heart attack. And now I was in the bed. And that's a completely different perspective. I found out that if you're a pastor in our synod and you end up in the hospital, the bishop comes to see you. That's pretty cool. But if you haven't been there yourself, you will probably be there at one point in your life. And what I learned by being in the hospital, which is like a little city, people talk about New York City as being the city that never sleeps, open 24 hours, everything is going. A hospital is the same. It's like a little city. The lights are always on. Something is always happening. Tests are being done, and surgeries are being done, and emergency rooms are open, and it just always buzzes, unless you're the guy in the corner room at the end of the hall. And then in the night, it gets quiet, eerily quiet. And you can't sleep because it's not your bed. It doesn't smell like you. It doesn't smell like your house. You can't find the thermostat to make it warmer or colder, depending on what you like. The fact that the bed goes up and down and up and down is fun for about 2 minutes. And then you realize, I can never get the bed back to the place where I was comfortable. I was lucky. In my loneliness, it only had to last 2 nights. I was lucky. In my loneliness, I had a family to visit me. I had a bishop. I had friends to call and text. I had people who wrote me cards. I had this congregation that I knew was praying for me. I was lucky. But not everybody is. Not everybody is. For you only have to spend a few minutes in a hospital, or frankly, you only have to spend a few minutes in our world to know that not everybody is that lucky. For many, that loneliness lasts days, weeks, months, maybe even years. All of us have probably had or know of someone who's been in a long-term care facility where their world exists of a room and maybe a hallway. All of us know or have experienced the kind of loneliness, the kind of brokenness, the kind of struggles of broken relationships, marriages that have gone sour, distance between parents and children, the worry about will there be enough money this month to cover next month, the loneliness of feeling like I'm the only kid like this in school. Everybody else is normal except me. And on and on and on. That loneliness is exactly what these 5 unwise lamp trimmers ran into. They felt like they had been shut out of the kingdom. Sorry, you screwed up. You didn't do the right thing. Better luck next time. Imagine. Not just feeling lonely, but wondering if that loneliness can ever be repaired. Well, it can. And you are going to do it. Because you're already doing it. You see, there are so many places in our culture that worship at the altar of individuality and success. And if you're not making it, what the heck is wrong with you? But churches exist, including this one, to say, no. Your worth does not come from there. It comes from the fact that you are a child of the ever-living God. God said so on the cross in the person of Jesus Christ. He said, look, even death cannot separate you from me. The loneliness that you fear will not overcome you. We say that in baptism. And Nora and Raylan are, well, they'll hear it, but I'm not sure it'll connect. But you parents and friends and sponsors and all that, I hope it connects with you. And you congregation, I hope it connects with you. Because there is loneliness and there is struggle and there is difficulty all around us. And sadly, these two beauties are going to learn it too. Because it's the human condition. You know, yesterday was Veterans Day, right? We call ourselves the greatest nation on earth. But how come the suicide rate and the homeless rate of those who helped to make it the greatest nation on earth is far beyond the national average? Why? Because we haven't paid attention to loneliness. But we do. You see, because a place like Trinity, in fact, Trinity itself exists so that we can push back in the name of Jesus Christ and say, you are not alone. You are not alone. You're in the hospital, we will visit you. You're in a nursing home, we will stick with you. You're struggling, we will find a way to be part of the solution, not the problem. And we promise to do it today, we promise to do it tomorrow, and we promise to do it as long as we're a church. Period. Because those promises that you just made to our newest members and the promises you're about to make to these baptized children are exactly that. Raylan, when it's good, we're going to be there. When it's less good, we're going to be there. Because we've made that promise. You too, Nora, but you're asleep. How are we going to do that? I've talked to you since I got here about something called the 5 T's. Time, talent, treasure, that's your money. Testimony, that's you talking up Jesus. And temple, that's your body. You're doing that right now, putting butts in the seats. Not only do preachers well, maybe just this preacher, not only do we think to ourselves, wow, what does this mean? We also spend a lot of time thinking, how can I turn this into a stewardship sermon? Well, like this is how. Most, if not all of you, received a little card like this in the mail this week. It's a pledge card. Lots of churches do it. Ours are fancy, colors and the like. And it's tempting just to say, well, okay, well, that's just my financial commitment to the church this year. And it is. But whether you do a card, and I hope you will, but whether you do a card or you do it online or you do it just in your envelopes or the plate or however you do it, however you share your treasure, or however you share your time, talent, testimony, or temple, however you share and respond to what God has done for you, I want you to think of it also as your vote. And it's a vote that says, I believe in this place. It's a vote that says, I believe in these people that I minister with. It's a vote that says, I want to see more kids dancing into the future and singing. It's a vote that says, we will not forget, whether it's through our pastoral visits or through our parish nurse, Vicki, or our director of visitation, Pat, or through all the wonderful volunteers who we support through all 5 of those T's on your behalf, that no one will be forgotten. No one in their loneliness will think somebody doesn't remember. It's your vote. It's your way to say, I love this place, and I love these people, and I want to make sure that as Nora and Raylan grow, that as the young people who were just singing here grow, that as our older members enter their twilight years and end up places that they never expected to be, because they never knew, like the rest of us, the day or the time, that we will be there. The ministries of this congregation need your support in all 5 of those ways, so that no one will be forgotten. No one will feel like they didn't trim their lamp enough to be worthy of God's love or Trinity's love. In my time of need, you did not forget. And I will not forget that you did not forget. That's why we exist, is to minister to one another, here and out there. And together, we make a team to make it happen. We support one another. Amen.